Good evening. We will not be reading from the course tonight, and so before we begin, let's take a few moments to be quiet together. Good evening, and welcome to everyone who's joining us on the internet. We're going to talk about something simple tonight, but something profoundly important. Perhaps nothing new, but it is certainly my intent for it to register with you deeply, sincerely, and transformationally. I have said before, as I have loved you, love one another. It is time for the meaning of this to register. It is time for it to become supremely important. Not to ward off catastrophe, but rather so as to be so in tune with, so in harmony with your Father, and with the function that it is yours to fulfill, that you fulfill it, and its transformational benefit be felt around your globe. As I have loved you, well, how have I loved you? Mind you, I am not speaking of as I have spoken with you through Paul. I am your brother, just as I am Paul's brother, and I speak to you, and I give you my attention individually, just as I do with Paul. This is very important. My communion with you has been ever present and constant since you decided to act independent of your source. Now, I know that some of you, students of the course, believe that individuality is an illusion. It is not. If individuality is an illusion, then who am I speaking to right now? And who is hearing me? That also must be an illusion. But it is not. your individuality is eternal, invulnerable, forever itself, forever the Father in expression, infinitely. Therefore, the Father, for lack of better words, is eternally attentive to you, just as I am. And actually, just as all of the awakened brotherhood is. It's very important for you to listen for me. On your own. Not just through Paul. It's important for you to have a desire to know the truth and to be willing to sit down and become still and ask to know it and to ask it of me. Or ask it of the Holy Spirit. But I am inviting you to ask it of me because it is my intent for you to experience our brotherhood actually. Yourself. In communion, in camaraderie, in dialogue, in the sharing of the experience of reality. Now, if the way I love you is individually, and you are to love your brother as I have loved you, how are you to love your brother? How are you to love your sister? Individually. You are to look into your brother's eyes and remember God. You are to let your intimate encounter with your brother or sister substantiate and evidence God. That means involvement. It doesn't mean thinking lofty ideas about each other without ever engaging in an act of brotherhood, an act of involvement. It is time to once again be intimate. That is the way I love you. Intimately. And when you will allow it, actively and through mutual exchange of awareness of each other and of whatever we care to consider together. How do I love you? I love you knowing that I am the Son of God. In other words, I love you not as a role, not as a figurehead, but as one who looks at you through his Father's eyes, because I choose not to have a peculiar or specifically different way of looking at you than anyone else, or even than the Father. You see? As a result, I am always reflecting back to you the Father's perspective of you, because it is mine. And again, it is mine because I have not chosen to indulge in a private perception of you. I have not taken on a role of peculiar perceiver. That can see you in very unique ways and apply definitions to you that are very unique as well, which have nothing to do with the fact that you are the Son of the Father, and that you are the evidence of the Father in expression, and you are not the evidence of a concept you have of yourself or a role you have developed for yourself. And so, because I look at you joined with the Father, seeing you through the Father's eyes, I confirm in you that which allows you to abandon the role you have adopted, or the peculiar or quirky way you have of thinking about who you are, and trying to live it, and get everyone else to agree with it, and cooperate with it, and be influenced by it. You see? If that's the way I love you, and you are to love your brother the way I love you, then that is your function as well. That is your task. Now, it simply isn't the way everyone on your globe is behaving or being, because everyone is behaving on the basis of a role that they have made up for themselves, or that they have been taught to identify as themselves. You see? So everyone is living by a code of conduct rather than because you're alive to reality and seeing it for what it is, the way the Father is being it, and joining with everyone in the enjoyment of that experience. You see? You're living in the middle of the kingdom of heaven. You're living in the middle of reality without being conscious of it and without being able to enjoy it, because you're all so busy creating and confirming a unique and peculiar slant on everything. And in that sense, you're all living out fantasy and missing what's really going on. The strife on your globe is evidence of having become ungrounded of having forgotten to love, of having abandoned being intimate with each other and indeed with everything, from the perspective of that which created it, that infinite mind with infinitely expressed ideas. That is all there is to the mind you have. Love needs to come back into the picture. Intimacy needs to be restored. What happens when I join with the Father and look at you and see you as you are, in truth, while you are seeing yourself otherwise? Well, everything that comes out of my mouth, everything that I express to you, whether it's through Paul or whether it's directly, has one function, one purpose, and it embodies what love means. I share what restores your faith, what restores your spirit, what restores your soul to you. I share the good news. I do not criticize you for the ignorance you're suffering from. I do not condemn you. I do not call for penalty. I engage in sharing what illuminates the truth to you, about you, compassionately, gently, but emphatically. And this is the way one becomes an agent for change. This is the way one finds himself as a son of God, restored to himself. How is it? Not by finding a way to define oneself better, but by caring about your brother enough to ask of the Father what the truth is about your brother, and in the process of having that revealed to you, finding that your right mind has been restored to you, or is being restored to you, as you persist in wanting to know what the truth is. Because you're willing to become intimate with your brother, undefended, and with a reduced distance between the two of you, you become the epitome of love. And that is felt by your brother. Now you could say, well, I can love the whole world. But that's a very easy way of avoiding actual involvement, actual communion, actual connection, actual relationship. as I have loved you, as I have loved you, love one another. Your brother is worth it. You are worth it for me. I will not cease to be connected and intimate with every single one of you. And my connection with you will have for its sole purpose your awakening, your rediscovery of your right mind and your embracing of it, which is called the Holy Spirit. And you know what? Those on your globe are not the only ones dreaming dreams and believing they are real. Every single one of the awakened brotherhood are intimately and attentively and compassionately connected and communing with every one of the brotherhood who are still suffering from their dreams, as well as all of the rest who are awake. I want this to be very clear. There is no such thing as being aloof in reality. There is infinite intimacy, without confusion, without overwhelm. Love embraces consciously every single aspect of creation. And that includes you. Do you see? When you find yourself consumed with judgment, or when you find judgment beginning to creep in, be alert. Be alert. That isn't an expression of love. And therefore, whatever follows will constitute the undoing of the experience of love, the undoing of the experience of well-being, and it will seem to create conflict in you. That's the important point. It causes you to lose your experience of who you divinely are as the son or daughter of God. And you become a concept that you entertain about yourself, and roles which you adopt and express different roles in different circumstances. And that reinforces the function or the so-called purpose of roles for others as well. Now, I touched on this the last time we were together. You are, on your globe, approaching a threshold. You are approaching a time in which self-serving selfishness, self-serving greed, self-serving activities will no longer be able to be entertained and expressed and create an acceptable level of comfort and functionality. The practice of selfishness has increased to a point where it is becoming obvious that it is a problem, that it is a call for correction. There will be no peace if it continues to be practiced, and it will call for the simple remembrance of what I'm saying. As I have loved you, love one another. Humaneness, the expression of humanity one to another, is an intimate one-on-one expression, because there is a valuing of each other, and because there's a humility that allows simple needs, basic needs, to be recognized and fulfilled, not ignored in favor of complicated, conceptual, mental structures and codes of behavior that are used to get the advantage at the expense of each other. This is a time of transition which everyone can dare to embrace with expectancy and gratitude, because it is a threshold, a breakthrough in which bondage will be abandoned and release will come. But again, it will come because there has been a shift in attitude where independence and separation have been recognized as destructive. And in the light of that realization, everyone can dare to care intimately and simply and individually with each other, with the inevitable benefit of the encounters being transformational, because God was called into the picture when you chose to look at and be involved individually with your brother or your sister, so that you could see him or see her through your Father's eyes, and therefore see them as you were created to see them, as you are currently being expressed by the Father, fulfilling your purpose. Pay attention and watch to see what excuses you use for not being intimate, or for not even being willing to try to be intimate. To whatever degree that comes up, you are being selfish. You are engaged in selfishness, which has a benefit to you, you think, that you're unwilling to give up. It's unreasonable to give it up. But you're going to have to, because you are the Holy Son or daughter of God, in whom the Father is well pleased, and whose birthright it is to be who you divinely are, to no longer be bound by a bondage that you don't see at the moment, except that you are watching the evidence of this general miasma taking form in the world and requiring a reevaluation, requiring learning to occur. That's what my love does. You learn from the way I treat you. You learn from the way I consider you. You learn a new or different way of considering yourself, which awakens in you a desire to be in new ways. It's your job to bring this to your brothers and sisters. Why? Because it reveals the truth. It brings about awakening. It amounts to you coming back into your right mind, your capital S sanity. Now, it says in the Course that it is not possible to teach what love is. And that's true. But I can tell you how to find out what it is. And that's what I've been doing. You can find out what it is by being willing to move into the intimacy of individual involvement with your brothers and your sisters, with the intent to see them through your Father's eyes, so that you might remember God in them and thus be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And the willingness to be in that place where you don't know how to be in that place ahead of time. That reveals to you what love is. You see? I told you that we would be talking about something simple, and it is. And I told you that we would be talking about something profound, and it is. And I told you that it would be expressed gently, and it has been. And that is the nature of love. But I want you also to know that when you desire to be the expression of love, by virtue of letting the Father reveal to you what the behavior is that identifies it, you will not be a wimp. You will not be some spiritual pushover. Because you will also recognize where correction is called for, and love will address it, will address the correction firmly, unequivocally, gently, with respect for the Holy One who at the moment needs to learn something new. This will not put you in a new role of being a teacher. But if you stop and think about it for a moment, it puts you in a movement of being which is illuminating. The illumination coming from the Father, whose perspective is finding expression through you. And the illumination will cause learning, and you will be being a teacher. But that will be irrelevant to you, and it won't be a role of any kind. It will be the nature of being with a capital B, in expression, harmonizing the inharmonious, healing the sick, raising the dead. What more can I say? I promise you, I will have lots more to say, because it's my function to be your brother. And you may know that I have lots to say in the spirit of brotherhood to you directly on an individual basis, on a basis that will confirm the eternality of your individuality and its reality. And that in itself is an incredible learning experience. I love you all very much. Infinitely, eternally, with ever-present attention to you. I know you. And it's okay for me to know each of you individually. And it's okay for you to get to know each other individually through the awakened awareness that comes from desiring to see each other from the Father's perspective. I look forward to being with you next time.